All right, we're out here on Yella, and I'm throwing the arrow into decoupled mode. Why, you ask? Because I'm bored. The real goal of this exercise is to really figure out what is the advantage of decoupled versus coupled. So here's what I know. All right, so I put the ship in coupled mode. In coupled mode, the ship produces thrust to counter all the unintended directions that your ship is going. So if I leave my ship with no input, the ship is producing downward thrust, making it so that I hover here. If I take it off coupled mode, you can see the little square on the left, I start to fall. You can see that I'm falling now. That's because there is no thrust happening to my ship right now. So I have to manually produce thrust, which means press a button. And if I don't do that, my ship will continue going in whatever inertia or gravity wants it to do. If I'm flying forward in space and I release the throttle, there is effectively nothing to stop my inertia when I release the throttle after going forward. I should keep going the same speed. My speed is falling because I'm still in the moon's gravity a little bit, but you get the point. In coupled mode, however, if I go forward, even in space where there's no friction, there's no air resistance to stop me, and I let go of the throttle, you see the speed decrease immediately, because there is some amount of thrust countering the ship's movement when my hand is not on the throttle. What difference does this make practically? So this is where it gets kind of controversial, because there's a lot of people, a lot of pilots in the verse, really good pilots, solid dogfighters, who think that flying decoupled is the only way to dogfight and that you cannot reach your true skill ceiling potential if you're not flying decoupled. And then there's a lot of really good dogfighters who only fly coupled ever. What's the truth here? So the main advantage I can see flying decoupled is in atmosphere. The reason that is because there's so much air resistance in the atmosphere. If you're trying to execute a maneuver and you let off the throttle a little bit, you don't want those thrusters countering your movement, because you already have a bunch of gravity and air resistance to do that. So you'll end up being less maneuverable in coupled mode than you would be in decoupled mode. And I think that's definitely obviously true. And so atmospheric flight, there are some advantages to being decoupled. There are some advantages to being coupled in the atmosphere and in space, and the main one of those would be you can spend less time worrying about your inputs and countering your own inertia, and more time hitting your target and executing your maneuvers. It's kind of like it's like traction control for cars almost. Say I'm in coupled mode, if I'm flying towards this mountain, I can let off, and I'm not actually countering 100% of my thrust that I put towards this mountain. I'm only countering part of the thrust, because a part of that thrust is being automatically countered by the coupled system. I don't know the science, but say I'm in decoupled, I have to physically pull my stick all the way back and make sure that I am countering that thrust completely manually, applying the inputs in it's like a direct control of your input versus a assisted control of your input. The interesting thing I'm noticing already as I'm just flying around the moon here is that as I'm decoupled, the ship does seem to be slightly more responsive, especially in those like dramatic flippy ways, like when I roll a little and I boost into an upstrafe and pitch up, it feels like it's a little more responsive. With that in mind, and the question, is decoupled actually better? Let's do some fighting. So immediately, I'm going to tell you right now, the first thing that happens when you switch to decoupled mode is you pay attention a little bit more. I'm aware of the fact that I could just fall to my death, right? There's no ship system that's going to save me. And that's kind of what I wanted out of Experiment, is to actually engage myself a little bit more as I'm getting bored with just normal flight. Just being a little more spazzy than I need to with an NPC target, but just trying to get the feel of it. I know there's an asteroid like right under me. One down. I'm really not noticing an immediate difference other than the fact that as I'm thrusting forward, I'm not getting as much help to stop. Doesn't really help me in a dogfight. After this bounty, we'll switch back to coupled mode and just check out what the difference is. And obviously the true test is going to be what it's like against a person. We'll get to those tests in due course. All right, let's grab ourselves another bounty. Look at how I'm just sitting here. Because I'm not applying the opposite thrust, I'm drifting to the left here. Now this one is in atmosphere, so let's go decoupled, because it wouldn't be a good test to test this in coupled mode. It's not a direct comparison. Oh, the lag. Nice. See, that was interesting. My momentum was maintained through that kind of vertical roll. And as you saw, I was kind of flying backwards, and that was through thrust. But as I spun, if I was in coupled mode, I don't think I would have maintained that trajectory completely. I think it would have been partially cut off by the thrusters. Nice. Nice. Okay. All right, so very, very slight differences there, but differences nonetheless. So it looks like you automatically go back into coupled mode when you quantum. All right, we're in coupled mode. See if we notice a difference. Oh my God. That rock scared the crap out of me. Okay, I need lights, dude. Not that it's gonna help, but... And I don't want anybody telling me, oh, scan your tab. Hit tab and scan, because I don't want to. You know why? Because if you do that, then your whole screen is blue in an asteroid belt. Guess what? I don't want my whole screen to be blue. I'm going back to decouple just to see what the difference is. There we go. I'm not noticing an immediate difference. Nice. Okay, interesting. It seems to me that there wasn't that big of a difference between coupled and decoupled in space combat. Now this one could be because I'm inexperienced at flying decoupled, which is true. And that probably has something to do with it, but also I think that if anything, coupled flight might actually help in space flight maneuverability. Because in a dogfight in space, your whole goal is to make quick, sharp movements that are hard to track. And coupled mode in space, what it does basically is just help you to stop your momentum. And stopping quickly is yet another way to make a sharp, quick movement that's hard for your opponent to track. Not quite sure if that's true. I still have to try decoupled against a human target, so we'll see if we can get one. But it's also clear that in atmosphere, decoupled does help your maneuverability. At least on that limited run that we just did, it seemed to be the case. What I suggest that you do is go into your advanced settings in your key bindings, advanced control settings or whatever it's called. Go down to flight movement and set your decoupled toggle to an easy to reach key, and just try it. Do what I did. I'm sure it also depends on the ship that you're running. I think the main case for decoupled is probably racing above everything else, because like I said, in atmosphere, maintaining your momentum is a big deal. So maybe that's what we'll try next. I don't know. Should we try decoupled landing? Oh, that's kind of scary. Oh, frick. Oh God, I'm really scared. See, I'm having to counter my own movements here. Like I press a button and I keep going that direction unless I press another button. Oh, this is really scary. Oh God, I don't like that. Okay, I'm done. That's cool. We're good. We don't need the decoupled landing. That was a very acute example of what decoupled looks like. Well, there's no human targets here, so what we're gonna do is do that in another video. So try it yourself. Let me know what you think about decoupled versus coupled. Do you fly decoupled? Do you fly coupled? And why? All right, I'll see you guys later.